Hello, beloveds. Today we are talking about letting go and radical acceptance. And why is I have these crazy filters going on my it's like flashing 2022. Let me see if I can change it. I don't know if I can change it. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, sorry. Okay, hello everyone. So we're going to be talking not from fundamentals today. We're going to be talking about something else, which is letting go and radical acceptance. And if you are in the world currently, we're doing this collectively. This is not something that is just something that you are doing on your own. When you do this in your own life, you're actually creating a platform for the rest of the world to follow. And what I mean by that is that we're all connected. And when you energetically ascend and you energetically untangle some darkness and you bring light, this is unconditional love. When you bring light into the tangle of darkness that you're facing, you actually are bringing awareness. You're bringing higher intelligence into that space, and you're actually like sharing it with the collective. So that energy is radiating out instantaneously through every single person's reality at the same time. We are literally all connected. So as you build the scaffolding, as you build the ladder, as you build the awareness of a particular darkness that is unique just to you, you put that scaffolding in the astral realm. You put that awareness into the higher reality for other people who are having similar issues to be able to utilize and to go through these processing of these emotions. I want to emphasize that what we're going through right now, what if you're a healer, if you're healing yourself spiritually, you're literally a genius. Okay? Because what we're doing is technology. This is consciousness technology. All of these healing modalities that are old, a lot of it times it's easy to just look back and be like, oh, we're just like reutilizing old methodologies and applying it to our own lives now to heal. That's true, but also we're using things like meditation, like quantum jumping, like Unicult, all the principles of Unicult. We're using these in completely different ways than they've ever been used before because we are in unprecedented times. We are in a completely different reality, and we're taking all of the darkness, all of the energy that we currently are in, and we're transmuting it and we're transforming it from a negative state into a positive state, from a detrimental reality into a beneficial reality. And in order for us to make that shift, to change our energy into this 5D new way, utopian understanding, requires consciousness technology. And I don't just mean technology in the physical sense, because we are actually creating methodologies and thought forms and approaches to our emotional problems that can be considered technology. If you think about transcendental meditation and what it offered the world when it first was sort of popularized, that was a consciousness technology. It transformed the consciousness of the people through the methodology of the practice. So where we are today is that we are indoctrinating ourselves with loads of different consciousness technologies. We're getting introduced to them through healers. We've got things like acupuncture, massage, chiropractic. We've got body work, Reiki, all of those things, physical. And then we've also got Reiki, like energy. We've got crystal healing, Reiki. We've got long distance healing. We've got therapy. We've got shadow work. All of these things are consciousness technologies. And how we utilize them in order to transform our consciousness and our energy body is, at this moment, if you're doing that work, you're a genius, because you're at the forefront, the cutting edge of this technological future. The future of technology is integrated into our consciousness in a way that is transmutational. So if you're doing this work, you are on the cutting edge of technology. Our technology is going to emulate what we learn during this time. And this is a form of technology. So I just want to give credit to you if you're on this journey. It's a really cool place to be. It's not easy. Yeah, it feels like you're throwing darts in the dark and we're just trying to figure it out. It's so confusing. But as we weave our way through these difficult issues and difficult relationships and triggers and traumas, and we try to integrate and love ourselves and love each other, we're actually creating a beneficial framework for everyone. in the entire world, and we're creating the future of all technology on this planet. So the work that you're doing right now to heal yourself is magnificent and wonderful, and I'm so grateful to be here with you. Today we're talking about the suffering of ambition a little bit. That's something that is very near and dear to my heart. I have a lot of ambition in my body, and then what happens is that in that ambition I attach to outcomes. And no matter who you are, you have attached to outcomes. It's a very normal thing. And I'm going to talk about why this happens. And it might not even be related to ambition. This might just be related to relationships or jobs or anything that you've envisioned for your future and anything that you've envisioned for your life. And when it doesn't work out, you feel really bummed out and you feel really sad. And the reason why that happens is because suffering leads to attachment, or attachment leads to suffering, right? Like that's a Buddhist understanding, which is absolutely true. We can all agree that when you attach to an outcome, man makes plans and God laughs. If you're attached to the outcome, you're going to be bumming out all day, every day. And I am someone who attaches to outcome very strongly. So it's been a deep impetus for me to figure out why I attach to outcomes. What is it that is causing me to attach to outcomes when I should just be in flow state? I should just be letting the universe guide me. I should just be happy and blessed and excited and grateful every single day. And we're going to come back to this idea of should be and this idea of progress a couple of times, because this idea of letting go and this idea of surrender and this idea of radical acceptance is actually the opposite of the energy of what you should be doing, of what you have to do, of even like this idea of like progress and healing, this capitalist obsession with moving forward. And it's really about just letting go and being where we are. And ironically, that's how you move forward. So we'll come back to that. But I was asking myself, why do I detach to outcomes? And a lot of this has to do with its ego, right? It's ego. And the ego has been a big, big mystery to me. Why? If the ego is completely insane, Course in Miracles, right? If the ego is completely insane, why did we have it? If we're supposed to kill it and destroy it, why does it exist? What's its point if all it's doing is causing us this suffering and this harm? So my understanding of the ego is that it is an energy body, it is an energy persona that we cultivate built on trauma in order to engage in a traumatized world. When you're born on earth, if you're just being your pure-hearted, loving, alien, angel, whoever self, ancient earth entity self, you're pure-hearted and you're just going to start giving love to everyone, you're going to be abused. You're going to probably have hardship happen to you. You're going to be traumatized, at least in one way or another, whether the people around you are attempting to traumatize you or not. Most likely they're not, but most likely you will be traumatized. Earth is a very dense, very complex place. It's not necessarily evil, it's just very complex. And in order for us to interact with each other, in order for us to be understood in the complex, traumatized society, we have to create a traumatized entity, a traumatized persona. That is the ego. So the ego comes in and is like, oh, well, it's actually trying to help out. It's like, you can't communicate to all these traumatized people, so I'll come in and I'll be traumatized and I'll communicate with the traumatized people for you. So then we let our egos run our lives, and our egos are very insane, and our egos are completely made of trauma, and our egos are obsessed with outcome and with physical reality. Well, unfortunately, physical reality is not even real. Physical reality is temporal. That means it's going to disappear someday. Everything will degrade. Everything will decompose. It's temporary. It's an illusion in the sense that it's here, you can interact with it, but it is not the root of all reality. If we base the root of all reality on this physical reality, we're going to be disappointed time and time again because it's constantly changing and it's never going to reflect our internal state exactly. So we have to take our energy and bring it back inside of ourselves and just resonate on our internal state and acknowledge that all of our attachment to the external reality is just creating suffering over and over again. You attach to a relationship. Oh, the relationship changes or ends. Oh, you attach to a job. Oh, the job changes or ends. Or you retire and then you don't know who you are and you don't know what you're doing. You attach to your money. Oh, money's not real. And then the stock market crashes or crypto crashes. You cannot attach to the social constructs of reality or the physical reality. People die, buildings crumble, tornadoes come through. It's meant to remind us that this is not the fundamental aspect of reality. The fundamental aspect of reality that is eternal is our energy feeling state. And when we root our reality in that energy feeling state, we become sane, we become grounded, we become peaceful, we become joyous. There's this balance of being in the ego. Let me tell you what the ego does with regards to ambition. With regards to looking into the future, the ego attaches not only to the physical reality, but the ego creates this understanding that we can't trust the spirit of uni. We can't trust God. We can't trust the universe to take care of us. The ego says, I wasn't taken care of. Nobody was looking out for me, so I have to create the life that I want by myself with my own two hands. And I have to use my mind and my ingenious manipulation tactics of doing this and doing that and doing this to try to get love, to try to get attention, to try to get my needs met, to try to get money, to try to do all these things in this physical reality. And the ego's only working from what it understands, but if we let the ego guide us, then we're going to be attaching to the physical things. And the ego, I think of it like this. When you're a little child and you're in flow state, you don't need to worry about the future, right? You're just playing in the sandbox, you're having a good time. But then someone comes over and just like takes your mom or your dad or your older sibling or someone comes and takes their toys away, starts yelling at you. You're supposed to be inside right now. Why are you out here playing? And it's so shocking because you're just in a complete flow state and you had no ability to anticipate this negative outcome. The ego helps you out and says, okay, I'm going to pull you out of flow state and I'm going to put you in an anxious state of being able to predict the future. When you're in an anxious state of being able to predict the future, then you can anticipate if someone's going to come and take your toy and you're not going to be so shocked and it's not going to be so painful. So because the ego takes you out of flow state and puts you into this timeline reality where you actually enter into time, because flow state is outside of time. But as soon as you get traumatized and triggered out of flow state, then you're in this anticipation, this anxiety-inducing future state thinking. And that's when we start thinking about the future and thinking about the past and strategizing. How do I avoid pain? How do I avoid suffering? How do I work to get my needs met? And this is where the ego starts taking on the brunt of the responsibility instead of allowing the divine energy to care for us and the divine energy to guide us. There's nothing wrong with all of this happening. It's just how I've been able to understand it happening in my own life so that I can then further work to let go of my attachment to the future. Because I had a lot of trauma in my childhood, I had a lot of responsibility. I've borne the weight of the world on my own shoulders and said, okay, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do that in order to get my needs met. And I was not right about those things because I wasn't actually allowing for the divine energy to flow in. I was having a very rigid understanding of my future and how I needed it to look in order to feel safe because I didn't trust the universe and I didn't trust God and I didn't trust the spirit of uni. And sometimes I still don't, but that's where this sermon comes in. So when we let go of control and we let go of this idea, this ego-based idea of what our future needs to look like, we actually expand. And there's a couple different things about this. This is really an idea of manifestation. A lot of us have an idea. It's not wrong to have an idea of your future. I want Uniacres. I want to be surrounded by friends and family. I want to have community. I want to be healthy. This vision of the future is very near and dear to my heart, and I long for it deeply. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what the balance is here is about taking that vision and breaking it down from the material reality. You don't say like, I want a hot wife and I want a fast car and I want to have, I don't know, so much money, right? You might have all those things. You might get all those things. and then be miserable because maybe you don't actually get along with your hot wife. Maybe your fast car is actually uncomfortable to sit in. Maybe your money isn't, you can buy whatever you want, but you're still not happy. I feel like that manifesting in the physical reality and accomplishing it is probably one of the most depressing things that can possibly happen because it doesn't actually solve your spiritual problems. So even if you're successful at manifesting your physical reality, you might still be left empty-handed, empty-hearted. So the way that we change our manifestation understanding is to look into the future and say, what is the feeling state that I want? And you can attach to the feeling state. You can say, I want to feel supported and loved. I want to feel respected. I want to feel admired. I want to feel loved. Those are all absolutely valid points that you can aspire to, that you can hope for. So let's say you have this idea of the future and you're focused on the material reality and you're like, I just have to be with this person in this house and with this kind of animal pet and this many children. And if I don't have it, I'm gonna just be miserable. I will not be happy until I have those things. Well, if you fixate on a specific reality, you're actually, okay, the reason why we do this is because it's the best that we can imagine. We're taking the power into our own hands. We're not trusting the spirit of Uni to guide us. We're not trusting the divinity, the divine energy to guide us. We're not trusting that the way our life is unfolding is perfect and beautiful and fine. We're fixating on a particular outcome because our ego says, this is the best possible thing that can possibly happen and I have to work to get it. Otherwise, I'm going to be left with nothing. It's very dramatic. But in reality, when we fixate on particular outcomes, we're actually limiting our awareness on that particular outcome. Oftentimes, the universe will come through and completely destroy everything that you thought you wanted and give you something that you realize later is so much better than you could have ever comprehended with your limited consciousness previously. In the previous state. Wherever you are right now, you cannot even comprehend the beauty and the power of the future that you have the ability to manifest when you work with the divine, when you allow the divine to come into your life and sweep away everything that isn't serving you, sweep away everything that is temporal, and simply allow the divine energy to come in and guide your life into the way that it's supposed to be. Divine energy is your energy. We're not just saying like, when I have trouble trusting the divine energy, when I have trouble trusting the spirit of Uni, I call myself God's bitch because I feel like I'm just like who the fuck am I? I can't do anything. Like free will is totally bullshit because I just have to go along with the divine will. And the divine will always gives me something that's way better than I could ever imagine, but it's hard for me to trust God. So I call myself God's bitch, right? We have a shirt in Unicult Supply Co. that says God's bitch. If you vibe with that, you can wear the shirt. But when you learn to start trusting the universe and you learn to start trusting the divine will, then you bring in surrender and you bring in the allowance of your higher self to be aligned with your physical self. You bring in the possibility for your energy to actually shift into a place that's actually more beneficial for your energy. This is not some external energy that is imposing its will on you. This is your own true heart, your own higher self, your own divine wisdom playing out in your life. And in order for us to trust that, we have to let go of our obsession and our fixation with the way that things we think need to turn out a certain way. It is better than your mind can comprehend. When we're manifesting, we think in this Protestant work ethic, capitalist way of, okay, well, I'm going to have to go and I'm going to have to get this thing and I have to do this and I have to do that in order to get this and I have to grind and I have to go get that bread. And we really push ourselves to this state of agitation and stress and overwhelm so that we can go get that thing. And we think that, especially with money, that by working hard and by being stressed out, that's the way to get money. That's the way to get abundance. That's the way to be secure. But in reality, you have to look at the energetic imprint of what's going on, of what's happening. If you're stressed out all the time and you're always like fighting, you have this fighting spirit to get more money, that's the energy you're creating. The energy that you're in every single day is your life. We trust and we surrender and we relax. And this is the antithesis. This is the opposite of what most of us think success looks like. Trusting, surrendering, and relaxing. The universe wants you to be relaxed. The universe wants you to feel abundant. The universe wants you to be healthy. The universe wants you to be at peace. Surrender puts you in touch with your higher self, who knows just how to get what you want. If you have bills to pay and all these things you don't know what to do about, you can tell your higher self, hey, this is all beyond my scope. I don't know how to handle any of this. You need to take care of this. I'm stepping aside because all of this is too much for me to handle, and you can come in and you can take care of it. That's one way of surrender that's easy. It's easy for me to look at my student loans and say, oh, those aren't my student loans. Those are my higher self student loans. They're going to take care of it. I don't know how. They're going to. Somehow. Right now, it's fine. We'll see what happens. So I have a couple of techniques about how to let go. And I think this is a really funny, I've had this whole week of, I've been in a triggered state this whole week. And so I've been in this place of agitation, of not trusting the universe, of not trusting the spirit of uni. And I've been trying with my whole might to let go of my fixation, let go of my obsession. Because the more I don't trust the spirit of uni, the more I get fixated on trying to create my own life, because I think that I'm the only one who can do it, when that's not true. So what are the techniques and the tools that you can use if you're in this state of obsession, of holding on to a fixation of your future? The first is to do the set aside prayer. This is a prayer from AA, and I do a modified version of it. And I pray to the spirit of uni or God or your higher self or whoever you feel like praying to, just someone higher, something higher, a higher energy. It's a very important aspect of our spirituality, is just to connect with an energy that knows more than us. There's an aspect of humility in creating an energy that knows more than us and allowing that energy to guide our lives. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. It can be the flying spaghetti monster, whatever you want. But I suggest if you're having trouble letting go, you do this prayer. I set aside everything I think I know. And then I go down the list. I set aside everything I think I know about making money. I set aside everything I think I know about love. I set aside everything I think I know about my salvation. I really like that one, because my salvation, why are we always chasing all these things? Why are we always fixating on certain outcomes? It's because we believe that by accomplishing these things, love, money, whatever our goals are, that we're going to finally achieve a sense of peace. That's not always true though, right? So we are mistaken a lot of times about our salvation. We're mistaken about this idea that if I get this, then I'll be happy. If I get that, then I'll be at peace. That's not true though, because we're always doing it and we're chasing forever. So this prayer, I set aside everything I think I know about my salvation, allows for a higher energy to come in and show us what our salvation really is, what our salvation really feels like, what our salvation really looks like in our lives. It doesn't look like the temporal physical reality. It looks like a spiritual centeredness, usually. I set aside everything I think I know about leadership, anything that you're holding on to as a sense of pride. Try out the set aside prayer. I think you'll find if you do this consistently, your life will really start to change. It brings in a level of humility and a level of open-mindedness that allows you to do things in a little bit of a different way than you probably have been normally doing it. This is called contrary action. If you can do something in a way that you haven't been doing it, there's that quote, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. A lot of us are stuck in that without realizing that we're stuck in that. A lot of us are just creating our habits and our energy bodies and cultivating the same energy over and over and over again. And we don't even realize that we're doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So to let go of that and to open our hearts up to contrary action, to new ways of doing things, has the potential to radically transform your life. The next thing I want to suggest doing is this something called two-way prayer, which is where you call your higher self or your God or your spirit of uni or the universe or your angels or aliens or whatever, and you open up your consciousness and you say, come into my consciousness. Look at all these problems I have. Look at these bills I have to pay. Look at this weird relationship I have. Look at my health. Look at how dirty my house is. Look at all these dishes. What would you have me do today? Do you know what? Today, my makeup I got from that. I sat in two-way prayer and I said, what should I do today? And they said, you should do your makeup just like this. So I did. I did my makeup just like God told me to do it. It might be like little things. There's a funny TikTok right now saying, oh God, please tell me how to live my life. And they're like, go do your dishes. Like, ooh, not that. Go clean out your car. Oh, also not that. A lot of times when you're listening to God or you're listening to the spirit of uni or something higher, you're going to get kind of surprising answers about little things that you can do that actually support you. Sometimes for me, it'll be like drink a lot of water or make sure to go for a walk today. I highly recommend this practice because then you're going to get a different kind of perspective coming in for your problems. And then the third thing that I want to recommend is this conscious surrendering to expansion. I've talked about these three things in the last couple of camp churches I've done because I've been doing them every day and I find them to be really valuable. So this idea of surrendering consciously, just saying, okay, I'm in meditation, I've talked to my higher power, I surrender to that energy. I'm not going to keep trying to fight against this energy. When you let go of your obsession or your fixation or your attachment to an idea or to a person or to a place or to a thing or to an outcome, you are actually growing beyond the best that you can imagine. You are keeping yourself small via your control of yourself. You're actually keeping yourself small when you're not letting go. When you're looking at your life and you're trying to let go, you have to understand that you're in the position you're in because you want to be. There's an aspect, there's a level of your reality that desires and that values your current reality. You might think, that's not true. I just want to get out of this situation. Okay, that's great. But you valued that situation enough to get into that situation in the first place. Now you're ready to move beyond. That's great. But that means you have to be in dialogue with the part of you that wanted to be in this situation. That means you have to look at the way that you valued this reality that you're currently in and the way that it does serve you in maybe unhealthy or healthy ways. And you have to say, okay, I'm ready to let go. I'm ready to expand beyond this. And understand, it takes immense courage and bravery to move beyond your current circumstances, to let go and to expand, even if it seems so obvious, right? For my life, I have this obsession, I have this fixation on relationships, and I'm ready to let it go. I understand how it served me, and it's still really scary to let it go, even though I know that my whole life is going to be better. I'm actually going to have more energy. I'm going to be in more peace. My relationships are actually going to be better. But I have this fear because I want to control what's in front of me because I'm fixated on a certain outcome because I'm keeping myself small. So I recognize that. I'm ready to let it go, but it's scary as heck because it's who I think I am. It's everything I've already known. And as I let go of that, I have to go through a massive ego death and become a different person. This is all consciousness technology. And as I let go and I become a different person, then the amount of peace and relaxation I'm able to cultivate can flow in. But that takes immense trust and bravery, realizing that the old way doesn't work. You have to do contrary action to get different results. And you have to realize that you are your own blocker. I've been in situations where I was clearly the victim. Anyone would look at it and say that I was a victim. But guess what? Other than when I was a baby and under the age of, 15, I was my own blocker. And yeah, I had just internalized my whole life, and then I was practicing it. I was just practicing my traumatized energy, letting my ego body interact with people. But I created my life, and I take full responsibility for every situation I've ever been in. You might not be ready to do that yet. And I would never tell you to do that if you're not ready. But when you're able to do that, you're able to own all the energy and you're able to transform all the energy. Any place that you're like a victim, that you're allowing other people to impose their energy on you, that's a place where you're giving your power away. It sounds a little callous, I know, but if you can strive to own all the energy and to say, I'm not going to let people treat me that way, I will not let people like that near me in the future. Congratulations. You just exited out of victim mentality and into your power. I have a few more emotional technologies that I want to suggest to you. The first is the violet flame. Comes from the Saint Germain cult. They are from the 1930s, 1940s. Incredible. The information was channeled from an ascended master, Saint Germain. They have these books that are green and they have purple writing on the inside. And I highly recommend checking out the Saint Germain books. I think the first one is called Great Mysteries, something Mysteries, Eternal Mysteries. I can't remember what it's called. Just the Saint Germain Press. Maybe look them up. Their main teaching, though, is this idea of a violet flame. I've talked about it a lot in UNICULT. It's part of our ideology, but the color violet actually is the highest spectrum that our eyes can see. Energy works in octaves of light. So the visible light spectrum is just one octave of light that we happen to be able to see. When we focus on the highest possible vibratory octave that we can see, that's violet, we actually are focusing on the highest possible energy that exists. This is like the highest note on the scale as it goes up. So sitting in meditation and cultivating this violet flame around your body, it dissolves all discordant energy. And another thing that the Saint Germain Press teaches is to demand that this discordant energy leave your body, leave your life. I demand that I have no more discordant energy in my life or in my body. This has transformed my life. It's funny though, because it's kind of spiritually bypassing, right? This idea that like, oh yeah, I'm not going to look or think about all the negative things. I'm just going to demand that it leaves my life. There's a great power in it, actually. And I think that when you use it in tandem with shadow healing and with these other consciousness technologies of like really going through all the mire and the muck and understanding it, your life will really transform. So I do highly recommend the violet flame and demanding to be free. Just demand to your higher self, to the spirit of uni, I demand to be free from discordant energy. If you do that a couple times a day, trust me, your life will radically change. Maybe not in ways you even expect. Another thing that's really funny about being in this fixation, being in this obsession or attachment state, is that we oftentimes are very agitated and we avoid the agitation. We avoid feeling it and we just keep thinking, oh, if only I can get this thing, I'll be out of my agitation. So I was sitting here and I was like, oh, if only I could get this person to say this one thing to me, then I would be happy forever. I caught myself thinking that. If this one person said this one thing to me, all of my discordant energy would go away forever and I would be happy forever. And I was like, I don't think that's true. I'm going to call you out on this because I don't think that's true. So I imagined in my fantasy that the person did say this thing to me. And then I imagined 2 months, 3 months, 4 months in the future. And I would be unhappy about something else. I just know it. But it's easy for my ego to think, oh, if only I get this one thing. And so I'm in this state of agitation. I'm obsessed and fixated on one particular thing that's going to get me out of it. And I'm certain and I'm convinced that that one thing is going to save me. But really, that's not true. And what I'm doing is I'm escaping the feeling. I'm escaping. I'm not taking responsibility for my feeling. I'm taking this anxiety, this discomfort, any feeling that I'm having, stress, guilt, anger, shame, fear, resentment, whatever the feeling is inside of me, and I'm putting it onto someone else or something external, and I'm saying, this is the problem, when really, it's me. So a huge part of letting go is actually to feel all your feelings fully. You have to sit in your feelings and you have to feel them. What does this mean? Does this mean thinking about your feelings? No, not at all. This means sitting there and feeling your feelings in your body. How does your stomach feel? How do your shoulders feel? How do your feet feel? How do your bones feel? Oh, does it just hurt to the core of your being? Do you have to throw up and shit and cry? Sometimes that's how I feel. These feelings go through my body. And unless I sit and listen to my body, I'm just creating a repression that actually gets brighter and brighter and brighter and makes me more and more and more agitated and makes me more and more and more obsessed with this external reality that I'm sure is going to save me. Feel all your feelings. But then guess what? You might, this is what I did, you might accidentally be like, okay, I'm going to surrender. I'm going to do the two-way prayer. I'm going to do the violet flame. I'm going to feel all my feelings, and then I'm going to get out of this feeling. And then I'm going to progress, and then I'm going to be better, and then everyone's going to love me, and it's going to be okay. And then I'm going to finally get what I want, because the universe just needs me to do this checklist real quick, and then I'm going to get what I really am attached to. Okay, guess what? You're still attached to the outcome at that point. If you're going through your healing like a checklist in order to get the material reward, you're not actually surrendering, you're not actually letting go. This is what I mean by consciousness technology. Do you see what a big tangled web our minds are? It's so easy to get lost in emotion and desire and then confused and trying to fix it. And then guess what the answer is at that point? Radical acceptance. And you can just skip all of the previous things I said if you can come to radical acceptance before all of those things. I happen to be a very active person with a lot of energy, and I have to go through all of those other things before I get to the point where I can just say, oh, it's okay that I'm upset right now. I am a person who gets upset. I'm a person who feels strong emotions. I am a person who gets attached and fixated on outcomes. I accept and I love myself. It's okay. I'm still lovable. The spirit of Uni still loves me. UNICULT still loves me. I still love me. I'm still going to get my needs met because I can trust the universe. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for support. You are not alone in your healing journey. We're all doing this together. So if you can come to a place of radical acceptance, of allowing yourself to be who you are, to go through what you're going through, to be a messy human who attaches to outcomes and who wants to fix it and who wants to kill the ego but can't, and you have all these feelings. It's valid. It's all valid. You're here transmuting the energy of centuries of oppression, of centuries of confusion and repression and lies and deceit and being just terrible to each other. And guess what radical acceptance is? Radical acceptance is unconditional love. And as we know in UNICULT, unconditional love is the only thing that is going to get us out of the portal of duality to come out the other side into Unitopia. The black and white spiral of duality is taking us to its center, where we're going to become mush, we're going to become confused nothing, and we have to just hold on to unconditional love with all of our might for ourselves and for others and for the whole world. And through that unconditional love, we will make it through the portal. We will come out the other side into the rainbow reality of Unitopia, where we have all of our needs met. We are warriors. We are geniuses. We are on the forefront of the new technology, of the new culture, of the new reality. We are creating Unitopia with every day that we live in love, with every day that we live in the desire and the hope for a better future. You are responsible for the whole world moving into Unitopia. You're the center of the universe. You are the most important person on this planet. Today is the most important day of your life. Every day that's true. So just take a moment and thank yourself deep in your heart for everything that you've gone through, everything that you've done, and this desire that you have to move out of this negative energy, and just trust that it's happening and you're not doing it alone. You're not alone, but that you are an integral, essential, important part of our ascension and of Unitopia. So thank you. This week, what I want you to focus on is to meditate daily. Set a timer. Do a check mark or a sticker on your calendar. Meditate every day. Do 5 minutes. That's all you need. If you're not used to meditating, do 5 minutes. Sit down with your spine straight. Lay down. It doesn't matter. Do guided meditations. Anything is fine. Try to meditate in a way that you feel your presence. You feel your present body. You feel the moment as it's happening. And try to do that set aside prayer. I set aside everything I think I know. Try out the two-way prayer, inviting your higher power into your consciousness and showing the spirit of Uni all your problems and saying, fix these. How do I fix these? What do you want me to do? What would you have me do? What would you have me do? You can also ask the spirit of Uni, what do you think of me? What does the higher power think of me? And the higher power is going to love you. You're going to be amazed at how much love there is, no matter where you're at, no matter how bad you feel. And then there's the conscious surrendering to the expansion. Conscious surrendering to the expansion. When we are thinking about surrender, we're always thinking, oh, if I let go of this, then I'm not going to have anything. That's not true. When you let go of things, you always have an expansion. The conscious surrendering to the expansion. And the fear that there is to hold on to it, the fear that you're going to lose everything, the fear of the unknown, even the fear of the expansion, it's okay. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to hold on to where you are until you're ready. And then once you're ready, surrender to the expansion. Thank you all so much for joining me for Cam Church. It is my pleasure and my honor. If you're in UNICULT, you can go into the Discord server. We're going to have Uni Brunch. And I'm really looking forward to some of the fun stuff that the devoted members are working on right now. If you're interested in collaborating with me creatively and creating a brighter and more hopeful future through UNICULT, join UNICULT and become a devoted member. Our devoted members are awesome, and I'm really excited for everything that they're doing. The devoted members, the magicians, it's a really exciting time for UNICULT. So I can't wait to share with you all what we're working on. And if you're wanting to work with us, I recommend it. Uni bless. Have a great day.